The views expressed, opinions given, and any communication made between the hosts and guests of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Para-X Radio, EMC Network, or all services that play this show. The hosts and services are not responsible for the actions of their guests, and the original rights of all intellectual property is retained by the creator, and all work is used with either permission or Creative Commons license. The show is for entertainment purposes only. I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of? Philadelphia's horror home with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas.
What Are You Afraid of is back with episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix. I'm T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
How are you today, Mr. Phil?
Pretty okay, trying to stay cool.
Yeah, we've had some hot days out here in Philadelphia. For those listening in the future, this is being recorded on June 10th, and we've really gotten ahead of our schedule the last few episodes. We had episode 142, just premiered on Para-X Radio, and then after that we had the amazing zombie author Scott Kenmore, and then we had Paul Williams on from Australia about Jack the Ripper. Some cool stuff so far, yeah.
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we've sort of been getting ahead because it is very hot when we're recording, so we're trying to jump ahead and get most of this done so we can focus on Halloween 2020, which will probably mostly be at home this year.
You think it will be?
I am worried about it, yeah. Yeah, we're seeing the numbers rising, and so we might... But you know what? I'm kind of okay staying at home with my ghost story books and my Angel the Vampire with a Soul, and my, horror movies. I know you love doing that.
Oh yeah. I love the horror movies, my Halloween horror books, and the haunted hayrides, haunted houses. I don't know how the haunted hayrides and houses are going to fare. Like
I'm worried that's not happening, or at least it's going to be happening at a much slower rate, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll be able to get out of the house this Halloween and go do an episode on location like we have most other years. Like last year we were in Cape May, and then we did those episodes at Penhurst, and we've had a lot of fun and gotten into a lot of good places with What Are You Afraid of. But this is episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix. I like to vary. We bring on the fiction authors, we bring on the film directors, we bring on the psychics, but I always make sure we get some paranormal ghost stories in, and this is no different. Of course, Melissa George, hopefully we'll get her on sometime in the summer. Right. And we've got some wonderful guests planned, getting us all the way through October. So, this is What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show. We're on Para-X Radio, Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com for our archive of ghost stories that come with an audio file or a read file, plus a page for every episode, all 144 at this point, and articles, interviews, things like that, expanded material. It's been great. You can find the show on most major podcasts, and you can follow us on Twitter at PFWhatAfraidOf. So go on over and check out our Twitters. We're, posting previous episodes and such. But it's a cool episode because we're going to be speaking to somebody who's had a lot of paranormal experience. Jill Shelley, lead investigator and group founder of St. Croix Paranormal, an investigation group made up of Alexander Loken, Donna Fjosted, Teresa Christensen, and Stephanie Jacobson. They are the leading paranormal investigation team in the greater St. Croix Valley, based out of Stillwater, Minnesota. The group was founded in 2010 by a group of volunteers, and since then they have investigated many haunted locations, including the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Malvern Manor, and several private homes. They also have a show, Paranormal Patrol. I like that. Paranormal Patrol, which you can watch if you're in the Stillwater area on weekends or on YouTube and Champion Entertainment on Roku. And they were featured on the paranormal series A Ghost Story, the episode A Night with Monique. By day, Jill is a surgical technician, enjoys music, horror films, video production, and her favorite piece of equipment while investigating is the spirit box. She is the owner of the Haunted Boyd House, which she is prepared for a site for investigations, for other paranormal investigations to come and check out. How are you, Jill? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good. Good for you to be here.
We had a hole in our schedule come up because Melissa George couldn't make it, and you texted the show Facebook page. We're like, you know what? Let's get her right in if we can and help me keep the variety of the show going on. So you've been investigating for quite some time, and I imagine that your love of the paranormal goes back most of your life. I saw the pictures of the Boyd House. They're gorgeous. I love the furniture you're using, the tile you're putting down, the atmosphere that you're creating. So what started your interest in the paranormal?
Well, I kind of always been an oddball since I was, born, I guess. But I just really had a fascination with ghosts and everything since I was a really little girl. I remember I just loved the ghost stories, sitting in the dark with my cousins, and then you'd have the old record player doing the stories, or we'd read books. As I got older, we would be watching more of the television shows. Then I started doing more research on ghosts, going to the library and such, reading and spending a lot of time just trying to understand everything that was going on. And it was just something that always fascinated me. I did have my first experience at my grandmother's house when I was probably, I'm thinking maybe around 8 or so. And I had woken up from a deep sleep, and I should go back and say there was one room in my grandma's house that I never liked, and none of my cousins liked. Nobody liked that room. You always felt unwelcome there, like somebody was staring at you. It was always freezing cold. So we never really played in that room. But I had woke up in the middle of the night, and I heard some footsteps coming out of that room. And I wasn't facing the door, so my back was facing the door. So you heard the footsteps come in, and then you felt something standing in front of you or behind you. You could feel it, and they were just staring, like burning a hole through you. You just knew somebody was there, but I was too chicken to turn around and look. And then they kind of did like a sigh, and then they turned around. You heard the footsteps walk back into the room again. So, of course, I got the blankets over my head. I'm just scared to death. I made it through the night, and then I spoke to my grandma in the morning. I said, did anybody get up in the middle of the night? And she sleeps downstairs anyway, but nobody had gotten up in the middle of the night. My parents, I knew, were sleeping at the time because I could hear them snoring. And she's just like, oh, honey, that's a ghost, and he won't hurt you. And I thought, whoa, grandma's talking about ghosts. She said, it's okay. So then it just kind of went off from there. And in 2010, I met a great group of people with the same paranormal passion that I have, and we formed St. Croix Paranormal and started doing investigating and traveling all haunted locations, and then eventually buying the Boyd House. So we've had many adventures along the way.
That's wonderful. Tell us about the spirit box. What makes that your favorite tool?
For the spirit box, the reason I like that scientifically, and again, if people don't know how the spirit box works, it scans the radio stations from the beginning of the stations to the very end. So I use A, and that usually starts about 800 and runs to 1500. But it scans that whole section in 1/100th of a second. So scientifically, you cannot speak 1/100th of a second. I mean, you can say hi, but when you're getting full sentences, that to me is more of a spirit, because you can't talk that quickly. So with me, I've gotten swear words off of that. So we know you can't swear on the radio or regular radio. I've gotten full sentences, but all all the stuff that we hear on the spirit box, it's not just jibber jabber. It's always direct answers to the question I am looking for. And I'm not looking for a yes or no answer. I mean, I want a straight up answer. I want your last name. I want what state you were in. I want your favorite vacation. I want your favorite memory. So these are words that they have to pull out, and they have to say, you know, 1 or 2 words to answer me back. And so that's what I really like about it, because I feel scientifically, which we tend to be, our group tends to lean more. We don't necessarily say everything's paranormal.
Right.
But for me, I think it's a really great tool to use.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I've watched several spirit box videos on YouTube and different people that have manipulated them, and a lot of them are very interesting to watch. I went through a phase there about 6 months ago where all I was watching was spirit box videos on YouTube for like 3 weeks straight.
You can get an app on your phone too.
I don't know how accurate it'll be, but I never downloaded one. I should try it though.
We always go over and do the readings at Fort Mifflin, and we hang out there for the paranormal investigation evenings, and you can always hear the spirit boxes in like every room, and it's quite a lot of a fun atmosphere there for those environments at night. You hear the ghosts speaking to the spirit boxes and everyone listening and communicating with them, and that's a lot of fun for us.
Oh yeah. For the next episode, I'm going to download an app, a spirit box app on my phone, and post the findings, or relay the findings, I should say.
Right, maybe you can run it in the background and we can ask it a few questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Jill, thank you for being on the show, and how do you get ready for your paranormal investigations?
Well, it depends on what we're doing. Most of the time we do research. Haunted locations, we'll do the research on that, because it kind of helps us as far as who's there and why they're there. They have the history, such as if you're doing a private home, you don't have any information other than what the client has given you. So they don't know who it is. They don't know what's going on. Versus, like you said, you go to Waverly, it's probably a TB patient, that and such, and so many people have been. So then we go on YouTube and watch other paranormal groups work just to see where they've been. Maybe they have some hot spots, gives us some ideas to try, or sometimes we see, oh gosh, they got really good results doing that. Let's try that. We just kind of do a lot of that, and then just kind of get a mind's eye of where we're going to set up cameras and put equipment and things like that. And it's quite a bit of work to get ready. Our group started off actually with like 1 camera and a voice recorder and a K2 meter. And now we've blossomed into, I think we have like 22 camcorders, 40 voice recorders, bunch of REM pods, spirit boxes, 3 different kinds, tons of REM pods. You name it, we probably have it. So.
Excellent.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
I imagine you have to store all that somewhere, too. That sounds like a lot of equipment that you have to transfer, and it almost sounds like a major military operation when you go do an investigation.
It kind of is. Sometimes it takes 4 to 5 hours to do, depending on how big it is. But we're a really good team. We work so well together, and everybody kind of just knows what to do. You mentioned that we had been to Waverly. That's such a huge place, and you would think, gosh, and you have such a short amount of time that you get that building. So it's like, how do you set up a big building like that? Well, everybody took 4 cameras, and there's 2 people to a team. I think we had 4 teams, and you just split up. It's like, you get the top floor, you get the middle floor, I'll take the basement. And then you just carry it with you, you set it up, and then like that particular group was required to pick it up because they knew where they put it. We got a lot of stuff that night too. So
it's almost like filmmaking. You know, when you're shooting on a set, when everyone has to bring all the equipment in from the cars, and you got boxes and you got cameras, and I mean, I've done that to an extent many years ago when I was making big feature films and stuff. Yeah. Sometimes breaking down the equipment and stuff took like 2 hours, pulling everything out. We had T-stand lights, and yeah, it's kind of what it's reminding me of.
Indeed. Well, that sounds like quite a bit of work. I'm glad we sort of retired to just working on one laptop all the time at this point. But this is episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix, with the wonderfully experienced, we love experienced ghost hunters on the show, the wonderfully experienced Jill Foote, and we'll be right back with episode 145 of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show. We're on Parax Radio, Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Philadelphia time. Check out our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com for more information about Jill, St. Croix Paranormal, and their show, Paranormal Patrol. Dun dun dun. We'll be right back on What Are You Afraid Of?
Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror Paranormal Show, Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para X Radio and at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com.
What Are You Afraid Of on Para X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction. We are ready to scare you.
Para X.
Rat! Rat! Where are you going?
I'm going back to the Paranormal View, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Rat, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Rat, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear... Line!
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Para X Radio Network.
We're back, episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix, talking to the wonderful Jill Shelley. In the summer humidity, it's been up above 90 degrees out here in Lancaster. I know out there in Lansdale for you, Phil. And I have been getting ready for a major cook this week. I am going to make my gumbo in honor of our trip to New Orleans, Louisiana, which was, oh God, that was, 2 years ago at this point?
Was it 2 years? I thought it was last year.
It was last year. God, it feels like 2 years because we moved in that time, and Allison got the job at the accounting firm, and it's been insanely busy. But yeah, I guess it was last year, and
it was last summer, I think.
Yeah, it was in June, and we just had such a wonderful trip, and I brought back all these spices with me to do my own gumbo here in Philadelphia, and I've spent the week talking to people who have made the recipe, who have family recipes, getting all their little nuances and details into it. And I'm not only making the gumbo, but I'm also going to do the bread pudding. And as I've learned, very important, stale bread in your bread pudding.
Really? Stale bread, huh?
Yeah, stale bread. Otherwise, it doesn't keep its shape. It melts and turns into a flat sort of oatmeal-like substance. So
interesting.
So don't you wish I was back in Lansdale when I do this delicious gumbo? But we are.
Yes.
We're on episode 145, Parax Radio Friday nights. Check out our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. It's been hot, and we're getting through the summer doing some wonderful ghost stories. We have investigator Jill Shelley from St. Croix Paranormal, and she is the owner of the Boyd House. This is what it says on the website. Boyd was a booming town in the 1800s, 1900s. There were several hardware, general, and drug stores. The town also had restaurants, a bank, a barbershop, and a hotel. Some of the founders of the town own this land. It is not understood why the Boyd House is haunted. They feel the spirits are tied to the land because before the house was built. They have 2 mediums report the presence of women and children. People have felt blankets tugged on. They felt people touching them. They've heard the audible voices of children. People have felt blankets being tugged on, touching. Audible voices of children have been heard, and adults have been recorded, EVPs. Toys have been known to move. A man has been seen sitting in a chair. Some have awoken to him staring at them. Footsteps can be heard in the upstairs hallway, pounding on doors closing, and even a piano playing has been experienced at this incredible Boyd House. And you can rent out the Boyd House, and go over to their website at stcroixparanormal.com, which will have links for all this up at our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. So tell us about the Boyd House, Jill.
I purchased it because we traveled all around the country, so it kind of gave me an idea of, gosh, wouldn't that be really cool if I had my own place? So I ended up coming across the opportunity to be able to purchase this really awesome house. I fell in love with it just looking at the pictures, and I was really, really drawn to the house. When we went to go look at it, I did a mini investigation with my realtor. Our REM pod actually went off within 8 minutes of being there. And we got some pretty good spirit box responses. One of the very first one was a lady saying, "Who are you?" Like, she didn't know who I was and why am I talking to her? So then I went with the purchase, and then with me being there and doing some renovations because I want to bring it back to the 1900s way that it is with the furniture and things. It's just been an amazing journey, incredible experiences at the house, and letting other groups come in, they get quite a bit of activity as well.
It's a beautiful job you're doing on the house. Let me see again. I love the photos and just the atmosphere you're creating. Looks like it would be a fun place to stay even if it were not haunted. And it's really fun that you have it. I love to fish. I love to angle. And my dream is to one day have a property with a fish lake on it that I can just walk down to every day and go fishing in the morning. And it sounds like you got your fish pond, and I'm insanely jealous.
Yeah, it's been fun. The one thing I didn't count on was normally when we go to places, you just kind of go in, you investigate, whatever. But when I pull up, I have to clean it and take out the trash, and I had to hire someone to mow the lawn. But there's a lot of work we do when we get there. But it is worth it. I really have been enjoying being there and getting some stuff done.
During your investigations, has there been anything that really stuck out in your mind? Like, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened?
Gosh, we've had so many experiences.
Tell us a couple of them, please.
I think one of the biggest, probably scariest thing that we had is our group went to Whispers Estate in Indiana. And that house is known to have some pretty heavy negative energy to it. And you could feel that from the first time you walked in. It was like this electrical energy, just the goosebumps, the feeling of cobwebs. And it went on all night long. Like, you're constantly wiping your face, like you feel like you have something on you, like a spider web or something, but there's never anything there. And everybody was doing it. Steve, with our group in the beginning, he's no longer with us, but he couldn't take it anymore, and he went and sat outside the rest of the night.
Oh, wow.
We had seen like wet footsteps prints coming up from the basement that night. I'm trying to think what else was really weird that kind of led up to what happened. Just a lot of negativity, but there is a closet upstairs. It's like a big double wide walk-in closet. And the story goes that a guy named Virgil, who had worked at that house, was on his day of retirement. As he was putting his tools away in that closet, he dropped out of a heart attack.
Oh, my God.
He's very ticked off, apparently, about it. And he's not, I heard even in life, he wasn't a very nice man. So a lot of people get scratched and pushed in that closet. That people have had the door shut on them, I guess, and then like actually locked. And it's kind of that old deadbolt where you have to pick it up, slide it over, and drop it back down. Know how that even happens with anybody.
Oh, my God.
So I'm not a big closet person anyway. It freaks me out. I always feel like I'm going to get trapped in there. Somebody's going to shut the door, and it just freaks me out. So I don't like being in there, but I went in there with Teresa, and there's a chair in there. So she's sitting in the chair all the way back to the wall. So she's way back there. And I heard a voice in my head that said, "Get out of this closet." And so I was like, all right. So I left out of the closet partially because I don't like them. And I didn't tell Teresa. I just thought, oh, it's just me being paranoid and I don't want to be in here. And then on the spirit box, it said, "Shut this door." And of course, we did not do that. You're just like, hey, well, who's here? Next thing you know, Teresa comes flying, her and the chair come flying out of that closet about 4 feet, and she lands all the way down the hall.
Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah, we were like trying to figure it out. She's like, "No, you guys, something literally picked up that chair and pushed it and threw me." Because she's like, if I had because I was like, "Well, did you tip over?" She's like, "If I had tipped over, I'd be still in the closet. I wouldn't be 4 feet down the hallway here." So,
right. Right.
So yeah, that was probably maybe the scariest. I don't know why, but Teresa, we call her our paranormal punching bag because she's always getting scratched or pushed, or it's always, if something's going to happen, it's to her. So.
Poor Teresa.
Poor Teresa.
Do you just shove her in the room first and be like, go ahead, Teresa. Go stand in the room for a few minutes.
We got your back, Teresa. Go ahead.
Oh, poor Teresa.
She's like the one that the zombies will get first if they're chasing after you.
Right, she's the one that breaks her ankle. And
yeah.
So this is episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix, and we're having an excellent conversation with a rather experienced ghost hunter. And I love doing these episodes. I know we've had a lot of authors come to us because the convention circuit has basically been shut down due to the recent coronavirus scare. So, but I'm still trying to get enough ghost hunters and paranormal investigators in to change the content up a little bit, because that's really where we started the show, was ghost hunting.
Yeah.
We're not ghost hunters. Well, Phil's done ghost hunting, but really right now we're just sort of paranormal journalists. We tell the stories.
Yeah, we report on the people that do the ghost hunting.
Yeah, they do the legwork, we do the reporting. That's it.
That's right.
You have a lot of scientific equipment, which is excellent, and we can appreciate. And I've heard of them, the REM boxes. And the first thing when I heard of REM box, I thought stand in the place where you live. But no, that's a music crew, one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Could you tell us what a REM box is?
It's a REM pod.
A REM
is
pod.
what they call it.
Yeah, okay.
Actually. And it's kind of like a K2 meter, if people are familiar with that, but it's called a radiating electromagnetic energy, and that's what the REM stands for. So the theory is that ghosts are made out of electromagnetic energy, and when they come close proximity to any of these devices that pick up the EMF radiations, it breaks that barrier and it sets an alarm off for that. So that one, I really tend to like that one too, because you have to get pretty close to set it off. Like, I can set it off too if I break the barrier, but I gotta put my hand in there, and so now I'm breaking that barrier. But to just sit there and break the barrier for no reason, it's crazy. I just recently I actually had I set up a poker game at the Boyd house. Mm-hmm. So I put the REM pod in the middle of the table. I dealt out the cards, and I'm always talking to them. I'm like, okay, it's a 5-card stud. Aces are wild. Go crazy, and I had also put a card at the very edge of the table, not hanging over the table, but at the very edge of the table. And I kept saying, can you please push this card off? It'd be really great if you did that. So from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m., the REM pod kept going crazy. Like, it would not stop. And if I ran down there, it'd quit.
Wow.
So it kept doing that. So then I thought, well, gosh, is the battery bad? So even though it's brand new, put a new battery in, still kept doing it. So, and like I said, I like to be scientific. So then I changed the frequency. It still does it. So then I'm like, let's just go get a whole new REM pod. So I got a whole different one. Still did it till like 7 p.m. And every time I went down there, I reshuffled the cards and redealt a hand and everything. And just before I went to bed at I think it was like 11:30, I said, all right, well, here's this card now. I really appreciate it if you just throw that right off. That'll let me know you guys liked playing poker tonight.
So let me clarify. Mm-hmm. You weren't actually playing with any live people, right?
No.
Okay, so it was just you and the spirits playing poker. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Well, you have to engage, and then
right.
that'll get them going. So I got up in the morning, and there was the card laying right on the floor. And so of course I looked, and I got it on film at like 12:15 in the morning. They pushed that right off there. So that was kind of cool.
The ghosts who had cashed out again.
That's right.
So we are talking to the wonderful Jill Shelley, the lead investigator of the St. Croix Paranormal group, and she's got some wonderful stories, and she's had some amazing experiences. So what do you tell somebody if they hear what you do? You're at a party, and they hear what your hobby is, and they say, well, there's no such thing as ghosts.
Well, it's kind of like politics. You're never probably going to change anybody's mind on anything. So I'll probably say, well, why? And see what they say. And then kind of based on what their answer, but I don't know. I don't try to convince anybody. I may tell them some of my experiences and, maybe explain how the spirit box works, and how it couldn't be anything but that, and just kind of go from there. And like I said, you can't change anybody's mind, but I believe it's true. I have way too many experiences and way too much evidence to believe it is not true.
If they said to you, okay, show me one piece of evidence that'll convince me, what would you show them or demonstrate to them?
What would get most people, because we've gotten like shadow figures actually on film, but somebody would say, oh, that's a car or something. So if I can get something that's swearing, like on the spirit box, that's saying something that they shouldn't be in a long sentence, would probably maybe make them think about it, because you can't say that word on the AM stations. So that would be one way. We had a private home we were doing in Stillwater, where the entire family, except for the father, was having experiences at this house. And he's like, well, I'm having you guys over because I'm just sick of hearing about it. And I think they're crazy. And which is what we hear a lot from a lot of clients. They think they're crazy. But he actually lived in a historic home by the riverboat captain here in Stillwater. And his name was Captain Jenks. So he had his house. And I was running the spirit box, and I said, what's your name? Who owns this house? And it said Captain Jenks. So, and the guy just looked at me and about fell over, because let me tell you, this was a very brilliant man. He had like 3 PhDs. He was a professor at a university, and he hands down, like, just dropped. He's like, okay, I believe, because he understood.
Yeah. So you made a believer out of him.
I did.
So my question actually happened to you. That's incredible, and he came to face with the truth of the paranormal patrol.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. That's wonderful. Love the story. So you have your own TV show. How long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, I think maybe 5 or 6 years now. And I kind of got into just a little video production as a new hobby, and now I look back on my first productions like, oh, I hope nobody watches those, but I've progressed into my production ability and stuff. But it was just something kind of fun to do, and we always kind of like it as a nice little keepsake from every investigation that we do. So it's always just a way to kind of remember it. So that's kind of why I ended up doing it, and I just kind of fell in love with the video production part of it, so we just keep it going.
Give us an example of some of these keepsakes.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think most of it for me right now too is it's any experiences that we have. I mean, like I said, we've seen shadow figures, we've been touched, we've been pushed, we've gotten that on film. And I think just the camaraderie of just the team and just hanging out and having fun. We're not always all serious, and I am working on a thing called I wanted to call it the lighter side of paranormal. It was going to be all our bloopers and fun stuff that we do behind the scenes that nobody really sees. So
that's good. And a lot of that stuff's very entertaining.
Yeah.
I personally would like to see spirits playing poker. That's something that would, or even Monopoly.
Oh, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Like something from Disney's Haunted Mansion.
That's right.
That's how I like to think ghosts are in Disney's Haunted Mansion, which is actually the most popular attraction there besides Space Mountain, though.
I love the Haunted Mansion. I've been through it many times.
We are on episode 145 of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show, Supernatural in St. Croix, with Jill Shelley, lead investigator of the St. Croix Paranormal Group. We're listening to her wonderful stories. Jill, we talk about spirits who passed on, and then you have the spirits who were never alive, the inhuman spirits. Have you ever encountered an inhuman spirit? And if you have, what are they?
Well, we've had a few negative experiences with the ghosts. Most of them tend to be pretty harmless. And I think Hollywood has done a really good job of making people think everything is a demon or evil, when actually it's probably some old guy who's kind of crabby and doesn't really want you in his house. So people take it the wrong way. And there is evil out there. I'm not saying there's not, but I think it's pretty rare to find like a true evil entity.
Probably, like you said, some old guy that doesn't want you on his lawn or in his house.
Have you ever encountered something that might have been an inhuman spirit?
No, not that we're aware of. I mean, they say they have weird things at Waverly, and I think there was one other place we went that they said they had little creatures and stuff, but we never saw anything or felt anything bad. I think there was only one time, though, we were at Farrar Elementary, and that's known to have kind of a really the principal's like really mean and evil. And the only thing that was really weird, which I've never done, I'm a very laid back, very easygoing person. I don't get angry. And that night I just kind of would feel like something was following me around, and I don't know. I didn't really care for the feel. And what was really interesting though is when I went back on film footage, I was really rude to a lot of people that night, and even one of my teammates came up while I was getting some interaction, and I was yelling at them like, "Why are you here? Why would you even interrupt me like this?" And I was just going and they were just like, "What is wrong with you?" And nobody really even thought to think that really wasn't me. So
wow.
When I pushed it back, I called everybody. I said, "I'm really sorry because I don't even remember doing any of this."
Wow. Hey, that's weird. Yeah.
Call it almost a form of spiritual oppression.
Yeah.
It may not be demonic at all. I mean, of course, there's a lot of controversy about the nature of demons, and you have paranormal investigators that create more of the story than they investigate, and all of a sudden they're finding a demon, and there are a lot of modern paranormal investigators who don't believe in demons and just find them to be either malevolent or just really scary experiences. And of course, you have Hollywood and the modern ghost hunting television industry, which is out to create very dramatic stories for us to enjoy, and we do enjoy them.
Yeah.
I admit that, and I enjoy reading about them, but for the most part, the most people we've spoken to have never encountered anything like that, have never had pea soup vomited at them or walls bleed, and I guess we can be grateful for that, because it's scary to me to think about these dark entities full of hate that can traverse human boundaries and move through walls and break our privacy and security, you know. And it almost sounds like a spiritual disease that you catch, but...
Yeah. And the same thing happens when you quit smoking, so, you know. I don't,
yes, yes. I didn't want to bring that up, Phil. I wasn't going to touch on that.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll move on.
But in solidarity, brother, I'm not going to have a glass of wine for a week.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't have to do that.
Okay. Well, thank God. Right. I'll be right back. No. I'm really looking forward to doing the bread pudding, and we picked up some bourbon today to make the hot butter bourbon sauce for the bread pudding, as my wife likes to call it, Bergen, from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. But good news, that true crime proposal that I sent off about the Scarpo family to Philadelphia, it's been accepted, and they want to see it in August.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm doing that, and I'm doing a story about hitmen for another anthology coming out from Coast of Bone. Of course, I'll be working on editing the Pink Floyd charity anthology that I'm doing with Gutter Books to benefit and support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Cancer Society, which of course I support highly with my history of cancer. Yeah. I'm going to be digging into those edits in the next few weeks and hopefully have an anthology put together by the end of summer, and we'll have that out for fall. And hopefully we can do an event somewhere, though it might be an online event where we have readers come out.
Yeah, I mean, we could always do something online, like, you know, like a Twitter party or a Twitter event or whatever, you know.
Yeah, we might be leaning that way.
Yeah,
at this point,
not a bad idea. The proposal that you did, is that for a short story?
They're pieces to 5,000 to 7,000 words, but it's true crime.
Okay, gosh.
Story. So I'll be writing about the darkest period of the Philadelphia crime family, which was under the reign of the rather brutal, sadistic, and homicidal Nicodemus Scarfo. And when I say a mafia member is homicidal, that's saying something, because he really, there was a really violent and dark time. And of course, his own vanity and paranoia is what brought him low, as is the story of modern kings. Anyway, this is episode 145 of What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. We're helping you get through this really hot summer stuck at home. I hope you all have AC, you're staying safe, and guarding each other from this terrible virus. This is Supernatural in St. Croix. We're speaking to Jill Foote, the lead investigator of St. Croix Paranormal and owner of the Boyd House. We'll be right back on episode 145 on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. Pararex Radio, Friday nights, 9 p.m. We have been for the last 5 years, probably will be for the next 5 years. Check out our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com for a page on every episode, including this one, where you can find links to the stuff that Jill is talking about, including the Boyd House. Go check it out. It's a beautiful place. Go rent it for the night. Investigate some ghosts, hang out, whatever you want to do. Play some poker. That sounds like a lot of fun. And we'll have links up to her website about her group where you can find these videos on YouTube and watch Paranormal Patrol. We'll be right back on episode 145 with some EVPs.
This is Heather Taddy from Paranormal State and Alien Highway, and you are listening to Philly and Foxy on What Are You Afraid Of?
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
Demons. Vampires. Werewolves. Skinwalkers. All of this and more. Sunday nights at midnight on the Staring Into the Abyss radio show. Come, get lost with us.
So we are back with Jill Foote, lead investigator of St. Croix Paranormal on episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix, and it's EVP time. And I love EVPs because we're an audio show, and our audience gets to listen to some of the actual material that you collected. So what I'm going to do is play an EVP, and then you can explain to us the situation behind it and your thoughts on that. So the first EVP you sent us, I'll play it now.
EVP.
So where did this one come from?
We've had a psychic, or a couple psychics actually, tell us there's a little boy in the house that hides in the closet because he feels afraid. This particular closet, we didn't actually knew it existed until about 7 months into owning the house. It just like it actually blended into the end of the hall. One of the previous owners had stopped by and we were just chit-chatting, and she asked if I had ever found anything up in the room by the bathroom. And I'm like, well, what room are you talking about? And she's like, well, I will show you. So she came up and we pulled the door off the wall, and there's a whole nother little room in there. But anyway, that particular day I was opening up the closet. I think I was going to put some stuff in there to put out for paranormal research. And it's, to me, sounds like a little boy who just says, don't hurt me. So I don't know if he was like, oh my gosh, somebody just opened the door. Who is that? Please don't hurt me. So that was kind of cool to get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was listening to some of them. They're really creepy.
They take you off guard too, and there are some pretty clear EVPs. We hear other EVPs, and they have to let us know what they said, and then you listen for it, and you can, I can kind of hear that. I kind of know what you mean. Let me play the next one you sent to us.
EVP.
So, what's the story behind this one?
That one, I think, because it's kind of raspy, like we do have a lady that's really kind of cranky, and we've actually gotten quite a few EVPs with that kind of raspy type voice. Like I said, I like to try to bring the house back to the way it was. Unfortunately, the kitchen is very 1950s and it would be really hard to redo at this point. I collected a bunch of tins, like crackers and the old tea, the old antique tins that people had food and stuff in. I put them all up on the right above on the cabinets, just kind of lined them all up. And then we just happened to catch that EVP that was like incredible. So I don't know if they were like, wow, we came in and we're like really happy about it, or so I'm hoping they liked it.
Well, incredible. So we have a couple more here. I do love EVPs, and some of these are quite clear, and I'm really glad we can play them for our audience. Let me just play this one.
EVP.
So what's the story behind this one?
St. Croix Paranormal team was at the house investigating. We just said, hey, let's go in this room. And I was pointing to basically what I feel it's the biggest room. So I have it as the master bedroom. And I feel like that's her room. And she's kind of, like I said, she's cranky. I think she was just like, she didn't want us in there. That's why she's like, not in here.
I always wondered what my EVP will be after I die. It'll probably be something like, cup of coffee, please.
Glass of bourbon.
Glass of bourbon, yeah. Bergen.
Yeah.
Bergen, according to you two have no idea what I'm talking about. No. in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Okay. So we're gonna play another one here, number 4. This is EVP collected by the St. Croix Paranormal. This is all at the Boyd House?
Correct. It's all from the Boyd House.
EVP.
I was up in the attic by myself just getting some stuff together. I just noticed I had forgotten something. So I was just rambling like, oh, God, man, I can't believe you forgot that. Because I talk out loud because I'm crazy. We just got an EVP of a guy saying, go get it. And my husband was actually on the main floor because he was doing some stuff. So I was like 2 floors up. So I know that wasn't a carryover from him at all. Plus, it didn't sound like him either. So
excellent. So the ghosts are ordering your husband around.
Yes.
That's terrible. And the last EVP collected at the Boyd House. And I'll play that for our audience now.
EVP.
That's just a really good hello. We've gotten many of those. So that's just probably just walking around and they see you and they say hello, just like you would greet any other person. I've actually even gotten one that I didn't send you because it was kind of quiet, but I thought was really cool. It was like 7 a.m. and I was picking up the equipment and just putting the tripods and everybody was still sleeping. So nobody was up. And I wasn't saying a word because I didn't want to wake anybody up. And I'd gotten an EVP of a man that said, how are you this morning? So when I got that, I was like, oh, it's kind of creepy. Sometimes when you think about it, that there's somebody looking at me and I don't even know they're there. So
they could be watching us right now, which would actually be pretty sad for them because we're pretty boring. Today, Phil and I spend a lot of our time looking at screens, and I imagine ghosts from the 1800s wonder what we're doing looking at a single screen all the time.
What are you doing now that all this pandemic stuff is going on? I'm assuming you have your paranormal investigations on hold. Any idea when you're going to be resuming that?
Oh, this year we're not doing any traveling due to the virus as far as any paranormal investigating. Right now, we're just kind of staying away from each other because Donna and Teresa are immune compromised and Alex just had a baby, so he's kind of worried about bringing something home. So we're just kind of staying apart right now, and just me and my husband have been going down to the house and doing some renovating and investigating. So we're hoping maybe in another month or so, seeing how things go, hopefully we can start getting back together and going down there too.
Phil, we started a D&D game every Thursday night just in case we're stuck at home, and we're making the best of it.
And you're a rogue, right?
Actually, my wife is the
she's
rogue.
The rogue. You're
yeah, I'm a halfling druid.
Halfling druid.
Named Turk.
That makes sense.
Jill, it's been incredible speaking to you, and it's been a really fun episode, and I love doing the ghost hunting episode. We will be talking to Grady Hendrix on episode 146. Phil and I will be interviewing Mr. Hendrix next week. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I know, Phil, you're really looking forward to that one.
Yes, I am. I'm a fan.
I'm also speaking to an author who combines ghost hunting with her love of food and recipes. and Creepy Eats, and hopefully we will have her on the show and get Melissa George back on and she can tell us her story. It's been great speaking to you, Jill. Any parting words for our fans?
Yeah, I just hope everybody stays healthy and safe. Hopefully you can stop by and check out our website and maybe come by and spend a night at the Boyd House.
It's a great website, and the Boyd House looks beautiful, so if you're in that area, the Minnesota, the St. Croix Valley area, based out of Stillwater, Minnesota, go check out the Boyd House, and check out Jill's website at St. Croix Paranormal, all one word, ST in the beginning, and I'll have that link up at our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com, where you can find all of our previous 144 episodes, plus our collection of ghost stories with audio components, articles, interviews, expanded content, links, photographs. Hopefully I'll find your episode of my ghost story online somewhere and I can link it up there, and also I'll make sure to have your website set up there and links to your videos along with your show, Paranormal Patrol in Minnesota. The Ghost. I like that a lot. Jill, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
This is What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. We're on Parax Radio Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Philly Mean Time. And we're on all major podcast services. And this has been episode 145, Supernatural in St. Croix. This is T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
Gravity, Old Ghost by Renata Zagayer.
A cloud is hovering, standing permanently still. Old ghost that I can't kill unfolds a phantom limb to brush against my skin. Draw something from within who's only dissipating over time. And I have this feeling that I'm never going to lose. And oh, must be pitying all the things I can't undo. Things I can't undo. Things I can't undo. And every evening traces fingers up my spine. No chances to unwind. The roots have knotted, wrap me round and grip me tight. Choking in the night, and all relief impossible to find. And all you need is just a little time. And I have this feeling that
sounds like you got your fish pond, and I'm insanely jealous. T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Books. A television series based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the Stargate anthology Points of Origin from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Fox is an active member of the Horror Writers Association, and he's had published hundreds of short stories and articles. His motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time. Find out more information at www.tfoxdunham.com.
Phil Thomas is an author and screenwriter from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His screenplays have been produced into 2 feature films, False Face and Always from Darkness, and are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon Prime on demand. His screenplay, 3 Tunnels, was a semi-finalist at the LA Screenplay Competition. He is a member of the International Association of Professional Writers and Editors, and he currently writes for Cultured Vultures, Game Skinny, and BloodyDisgusting.com. He formerly held the position of Senior Marketing Manager at Eternal Press, and was a journalist for Patch, where he wrote a daily tech column covering the latest electronics and gadgets. He lives in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and is currently working on his second novel, Worst Afterlife Ever.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.